Well, the debt's a big, complicated question. First of all, it's not the Fed's job. It's Congress's job and the executive branch. So I'm not going to opine on any current political debates about taxes or spending. That's up to our elected leaders. But if you just look at a forecast, go to the Congressional Budget Office, which is the nonpartisan team of economists that forecast the budget for the US Congress. If you just look at their forecast for the next 20 or 30 years, the debt just goes to the moon. So that clearly cannot happen. Something has to give. And either, if they tried to issue that much debt, what would probably happen is inflation would take off, the Fed would raise rates, Treasury borrowing costs would go up, and then that would crowd out other spending. And then something would have to give politically. They'd have to make other choices. Or they'd end up cutting spending, or they'd end up raising taxes, or some combination of all three of those. And so if you just look at the forecast, it can't happen what is forecast in current law. Somehow our political system has to come together to make trade-offs, to find balance. Now the challenge is nobody knows where the red zone is. Many countries have gotten into a lot of trouble with less debt to GDP than we have. So that's kind of scary. On the other hand, Japan has twice as much debt to GDP has, and they have no trouble financing themselves at very low rates. And so are we more like Japan, or are we more like some of these other countries? I think reasonable people can disagree on which dimensions of which of those countries we look like. And so we do know that this needs to be addressed, and ultimately needs to be addressed by the American people through their elected representatives. It's not the Federal Reserve. We don't have the tools to address it. It's not our job. And so it's a challenge.
Interesting. Thanks.
But the last thing I'll just say is, ultimately, if you look around the world, investors have more confidence, despite all of our flaws, investors have more confidence in investing in America than any other advanced economy by a mile.
Okay.
And I share their confidence in the US economy and our competitiveness. So we have tremendous assets in our favor. Now we just need to come together and make some decisions.